Are you feeling the weight of financial stress? Picture this: a clutter free space, a boosted emergency fund, and financial stress becoming maybe a thing of the past. Today, I'm going to unlock the secrets to turning chaos into cash and putting you in control of your finances. Hi, I'm Amber, today's host for the Debt Free Dad podcast, where we help normal, everyday people like you take control of your finances so you can live a happier and less stressful life. Let me paint a picture for you. You have a room full of unused items. Heck, maybe it's a house where every room has some unused items collecting dust, causing stress. Now envision turning that clutter into cash to help you build your first emergency fund, or possibly help you grow your current emergency fund. Now, according to the Minimalist series on Netflix, the average person has a staggering 300,000 items in their home. These items could be a goldmine waiting to help you build your first emergency fund. It's crazy how many items we have in our home, and you don't really think about it, right? Especially after the holiday season where you've gotten gifts. Or like me, I went to my mother-in-law's and she's like, "Oh, here, do you want this? Here, do you want this?" Like she's uncluttering her house on us. It's so cute. But we come home with so many things. And then it's like, where do you put them? Do you have room for these things? You have so many items in your home. Now, did you know that that there's a staggering 63% of workers cannot even afford a $500 emergency? But imagine taking your clutter and turning it into cash that can help you when these emergencies happen. And I say when because they're going to happen. It's not like an if, like, well, if an emergency happens, I might have an emergency fund. It's when it happens, you're going to want and need an emergency fund. So, day after Christmas, we're sitting around, we're enjoying our, relaxed time after our holidays. It's been busy. We have a day that we can relax. And I'm playing with my dogs and I'm giving them their little babies. And I always pick up the babies because I have a dog who is notorious for eating things. And we've done this a couple of years ago where he had to go for emergency surgery. Anyways, my nightmare was revisited. I'm looking for the babies to pick them up because I no longer want them to play with them. I'm like, we're going to go to bed soon. I can't find them. I looked high and low. My husband looked high and low. We were looking everywhere. Can't find them. We just know they're inside his belly. So, needless to say, it was an emergency vet visit. And that is $500 just to walk through the door. That's before they even look at my dog Clyde. So we bring him to the emergency vet. I'm looking at this bill right now, and it is $1,100, $1,110 basically. And having that emergency fund allowed us to just be stressed about my dog. I wasn't stressed about where the money was coming from to pay for the bill, because when we walked in and we were like, yes, this is our dog, this is what he did, da, 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 da. She's giving us paperwork to go and sign for, to say, if we do not pick up our dog within 10 days of them treating him, we are surrendering our dog. Now, there's a reason that's in the paperwork, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could not imagine. And I guess I could imagine because I've been there before where, oh my gosh, where's this money coming from to pay for this emergency, but also stressed about the emergency, right? So I'm stressed about my dog. I'm worried about my dog. I want him to be okay, but I'm not stressed about the money. We did not bat an eye. It hurts. It still hurts, you guys. But we did not bat an eye when it came to having to pay the $1,100. We paid it. We got home at 3 a.m. with our dog. He slept all night. He is fine. So having said that, it is so important to save for an emergency. But how much should you save, right? At Debt Free Dad, we totally recommend that your first emergency fund should be between $1,000 to $3,000. And a lot of people ask, why should I save money when I have to pay my debt? Like, I have this credit card that is, 20, 30% interest, right? And you want me to put away $1,000 to $3,000? Yes, because that's going to be the difference between you going into more debt when the emergency happens. Having this emergency fund will prevent you from having to dip into the emergency, and I put quotations. You can't see me, but my hands are doing quotations on a credit card, right? You don't want it. Credit cards are not meant for emergencies as much as they're marketed that way to us. So a few months ago, we did a declutter challenge with our Roots of Personal Finance members. And members were selling hundreds of dollars in just our 5 weeks that we did this challenge of stuff they were no longer using. Some of them even thousands of dollars in just 5 weeks. Think about it. What do you have in your house right now that you're not using? Maybe it's in your garage, maybe it's in a shed, an old phone, an old iPad, like whatever it might be that you've just been, I'm going to save that for maybe a little bit later. Now, I understand if letting go is a challenge for you, begin small, like start small. We started this challenge small. We asked our members to tackle a drawer, a closet, maybe a small room, just a small space, and then assess that space. So go through those items. What is going to stay? What's going to go? What can you sell? And then what are you ready to dispose of, whether that be donating or it's garbage, right? And really kind of put your items in piles and be honest with yourself. Do you really need to use those items? Do you really need those items? Have they been collecting dust for years? I know it's so easy to be like, I might use that one day. But listen, if it's going to help reduce stress because you're able to sell those items, put it in a bank account, put it somewhere safe where you have $1,000 to $3,000 for an emergency, what are you waiting for? This is your first step to paying down your debt and becoming stress-free. So, utilize sites like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, have a garage sale. Right now I'm in Canada. We're not doing that. It's kind of cold. But in the spring, right? We actually just sold over the holiday season. We ended up getting a new freezer from a family member. She was no longer using her stand-up freezer. I had a chest freezer, small, old, sitting in my basement. I sold it between Christmas and New Year's for $100. And it was quick. So be honest with yourself. Look for items that you're no longer using that you can sell. Even if you just sold 10 items for $50 each, that's $500 to start your emergency fund. This is a great time, especially after the holidays. You're cleaning things up, you're putting your holiday stuff away. Now's the time to really go through, declutter. You're putting your gifts away, you're finding room. What can you remove that you no longer need or use that can help build you the emergency fund? Now, before I finish, let's just talk about what is considered an emergency, because not every situation requires a dip into your emergency fund. So consider this like an unexpected blown tire driving down the road, kind of an emergency. You need a new tire, right? But old worn down tires on your vehicle that have been on for years, not so much an emergency. This is something you know about. You know your tires are going to wear out. You should be planning and budgeting to replace those tires. So take some time to decide what will be considered an emergency. If you're single, if you have a partner, you're going to want to sit down, decide what is considered an emergency for this money. We're not going to touch it unless it's considered an emergency. And avoid using it for things like pop-up fun events that, tickets are going on sale tomorrow. Oh my gosh, you got to go. I'm a sucker for it. I get you. I love going to concerts. So don't dip into your emergency fund for things like that. Having a list and having a set plan of what you're considering an emergency, like a dog needing to go to an emergency vet, is a great way to stick to your guns when the temptation comes and you have $1,000 to $3,000 in the bank, right? So now that you have a plan, it's time to take action. Please take some time and let us know how much you were able to sell to start building your emergency fund. I really am excited to hear about that. I cannot wait. And thanks again for joining me on the Debt Free Dad podcast. I hope you have a fabulous week.